Stuart Varney from the Fox Business Network is on the line. Stuart, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm very well. And you?
You're with Brian Wilson and Dan Bongino today. So listen, Stuart, we've had a very spirited discussion here this morning about this Paul Ryan budget compromise that has been worked out. It's Paul Ryan and Patty Murray. Boehner's liking it. The president apparently will sign off on this if it lands on his desk. And there are a lot of conservatives who are saying, you know what? No, I can't hold my nose. I can't do this thing. What do you think about it, Stuart?
My big problem with it is that it breaks the discipline of sequester. Yes. Sequester was a wonderful idea. Across-the-board cuts, it worked. Spending was cut. We've broken that discipline, and I got a problem with that. However...
Thank you. I was hoping there was going to be a however.
Well, there is a however, because I don't want to shut the government down. I think the public is so angry at the whole idea of a shutdown or even a crisis that they will take it out on politicians both sides of the aisle if there's any hint of another event like we had a couple of months ago. So it's the best we can do. I think conservatives lose a little on this one, but I personally would be prepared to say, yeah, go ahead. Let's do it. Let's get this thing out of the way with and move on.
And why are you willing to make that compromise?
Because I can face reality. I can look it in the face. I don't want to see this government shut down. I don't want to see a protracted crisis in which we drag the country and the voters through it all over again. I will hold my nose and I will do it. Period.
And incidentally, that would come at a time when Republicans are looking pretty good in the polls.
Precisely. Here you have the administration and Democrats generally on the run big time because of this catastrophe called Obamacare. Do you want them to now regroup and say, look at those Republicans at it again, shutting down the government, not doing their job, holding the country to ransom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Avoid that, please, because you're winning.
Stuart Varney is one of the brightest people on this planet. Absolutely agree with you 1,000%. You are completely right, but Dan Bongino thinks you're wrong.
You know, Stuart, listen, here's my problem with this kick the can down the road mentality. I know that's not what you're saying. I listen to you on Fox all the time. But the kick the can down the road mentality assumes that if we win elections, and that the polls are doing well right now, and polls should lead to good elections, that we will actually pick up the can and crack the can of corn at some point. But my problem, Stuart, is we've won elections in the past. President Bush won 2 of them. And what did we do? We just spent more money. I would almost rather lose on principle that, hey, we're holding these caps because these caps, than win and just forfeit away everything we stand for.
Dan, let me interrupt you right there because I am not prepared to lose elections. I am not prepared to keep on paying more than half my income in taxes.
I know.
Are you?
No. And I've always heard you so passionately defend the free market. You gave us, you fired back at a liberal on a radio program once. I was a Secret Service agent at the time at Reagan Airport, and I swear, Stuart, I was punching the air like, yeah, go get him. So.
Well, I'm punching whatever it is that I'm punching because I'm paying far too much in tax, and I want that reversed. And the best way to do that is to win an election. And the best way to win an election is to go out there and campaign on the idea that we shall return America to prosperity.
I couldn't agree with you more because it was not long ago that Republicans' prospects for the coming election were in the toilet. And as I said earlier in this program, we're going to get into this discussion coming up in the top of the 8 o'clock hour, and we'll take your calls on it. But as I said in a little earlier, look, whether it's fair or not, perception in politics is reality, and the perception was, again, I'm not sure it's entirely fair, but the perception was Republicans shut down the government. Now, the numbers went in the toilet. Yep. Then it turned around because Obamacare turned out to be exactly what the Republicans said it was, and then some. And so there's been an amazing reversal of political fortunes, and Republicans are now poised to take back the Senate unless we screw it up.
Now, there would have been a government shutdown January the 15th had this deal not been struck. Okay, just think what's going to happen in the first 2 weeks of January. You're going to have people getting involved in a car accident. They think they're insured. They're not insured. They're out in the cold. They're bankrupt. That's going to happen a lot of times because of Obamacare in the first 2 weeks of January. You want to have that overshadowed by an impending government shutdown, which will be blamed on the Republicans?
Yes.
I don't.
You're right.
I want to win. I'm tired of losing. I want to win. Dan, I'm sorry about your principles, because I support those principles like you do. But this time, I'm pragmatic. I want to win, baby.
Stuart, I'd be pragmatic, too, if I thought the spineless establishment of this party would ever stand for something and actually say, hey, if we win in 2014, we are going to fight out-of-control spending. But they won't. I mean, the caps were the only thing to control the uncontrollable, and the uncontrollable is the D.C. spending train. It was the only thing we had, and we forfeited it away. I can't stand for that.
Dan, I think you also have to face another reality here. There isn't much sentiment in the Republican Party and none in the Democrat Party for reforming entitlements.
No, you're right. I mean, that's the real runaway train. You're spot on there.
That's the gorilla in the debt patch.
Yeah.
That's what's going to run us into bankruptcy, and we must tackle it, and I hope we will. But there's no enthusiasm in either party for doing just that.
All right, and we're going to leave it right there. Stuart, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Stuart.
Brian, Dan, thanks.